All right, what's up, Jeff?
Hey Chris, how's it going? Welcome everyone to Wrestling for the Weekend. We'll get right into it. We'll start with some AEW. Want to get us started, Chris?
Yeah, I was gonna say A&W. That's the burger place.
Yeah, I
That's
think I'm
what
a little
Danhausen
hungry.
wants to sponsor with.
Yeah,
Actually,
getting a little hungry.
it's kind of funny he dropped that. I wonder if he got like a cease and desist or something, because he was always talking about that before he got hired to AEW.
He was. They even sent him like a care package and everything. But maybe,
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe
maybe,
AEW doesn't want the cross sponsorship.
no, maybe because they're always talking about Wendy's on
Oh yeah.
NXT. Maybe that's why.
But yeah, so we could start talking about Dynamite, the events that happened over this past Wednesday. I don't think it wasn't the most eventful. They just definitely laid some seeds for future stuff. But I'd
That's
say the
right.
major development would be what happened with AR Fox during and after his match with Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, so I was gonna start opening with the Orange Cassidy AR Fox match because the match itself was pretty bananas. Like they went a lot longer than I thought they would. As for one, I think they gave AR Fox a lot more than I was expecting as well. Like he got like a lot of stuff in, some very near falls,
Which
and
makes sense
again,
knowing what we know now too.
that's right, that's right. It all made a lot of sense going forward. Like they were making him look strong for a reason. And then OC had to use the mousetrap to win. He's getting once again more and more desperate. He hasn't gotten a clean win in quite some time, actually. I think
Hmm.
at least a month, at least in 4 defenses. And also, they did mention that he's now he is overpassed Jade for the most consecutive defenses of the title.
Hmm.
So he is
Yeah,
the
yeah. He's up. What? He's over 30, I think, or something.
I'm not sure if he's at 30. He said I think they was saying 27 or 28, something like. But
Yeah,
I'd have
something
to
like.
actually go check. Either way, it's close to 30.
There's
Very
that
close to
one.
30.
There's that one really good Twitter account, like AEW Metrics, that I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it's one dude. Keeps track of like every AEW stat imaginable. And there's like a public spreadsheet.
Oh, I think I've
Like,
seen. Yeah, he even does like plus minus records and like they're like total
mhm.
records and
Yeah,
even
everything
against everyone.
tags. He does the dark matches. Keeps track of referees. Hold on, I pulled up his Twitter right now. First thing I see is Orange Cassidy has the most wins in AEW history at 115.
That's
Moxley's
crazy.
actually at
115.
114. That's why he's talking about it, because Moxley's at 114.
You
And
know
that most
Tony
beating.
knows that shit too.
Yeah.
You absolutely know Tony knows that. He's a stats nerd too. That's actually pretty cool. I didn't even know
I did just
that.
scroll
I
up to
think
see if Tony follows him, but he does not.
maybe it's Tony.
Yeah. Oh my god. Anyway, yeah. So back to the match though.
Yes, back to the match. So yeah, so he OC ends up winning with the mousetrap, celebrates, puts on his glasses, and then he does the thing that he usually does when he respects his opponent. He puts the sunglasses on AR Fox, and everybody looks happy for a few moments, but it doesn't really last very long. Um, he breaks the glasses and then just like cold cocks him right in the face,
Mhm.
and then kind of looks confused and walks away. He's then confronted by Darby Allen, and that actually brings me to one thing we forgot to talk about. The video package before the match was also very well done, and also put more context into the story, which is that AR Fox let Darby sleep on his couch basically when he was homeless,
Yeah.
and training at his school, which is pretty crazy. So there's like a very strong connection between those two guys there. Darby's telling him like, "Why'd you do this? Why'd you do this?" AR Fox is kind of acting like he's looking like confused, maybe he feels bad for what he done, but at the same time, you can kind of see like you can kind of see it as like OC kind of big timing him. Like I can see it from that point of
Also,
view,
I felt
right?
like he did feel remorse until Darby came out and started yelling at him. He was like, "Dude, get the fuck out of my face! Like, I just blew up. Like, you've done it. I'm sure. Kind of
Yeah,
thing. Like,
yeah.
why are you? You
Why are
know?
you getting in my face about this like so much?
Yeah.
And Darby was having none of it. He was like losing it really. Like he was very pissed off because I guess Darby's like a fairly white meat maybe face at this point. It's a weird thing to
Yeah,
say,
and
but
I mean, well, he's got the history with Orange Cassidy, so they obviously
he
like
respects
respect
him.
each other at least.
Yeah,
And
they've tacked
he
together
kept
too.
saying something like how he put his neck on the line for AR Fox to get that shot
That's
and
right.
stuff
That's a
like that.
good point.
So he was
That's
like
right.
mad at that.
he like called in a favor basically with OC to get this match, and he, I guess in Darby's face, he kind of made him look like a bitch. So
Yeah. There is one thing too at the beginning of the match. I didn't notice it, and I probably didn't because it was more normal. But so like AR Fox goes to shake Orange Cassidy's hand, and Orange Cassidy does his usual, lazy handshake kind of thing, which he does all the time. Like, and but apparently, and I haven't went back to watch this. I've just heard people talk about it. AR Fox like looked annoyed there from the start, so they kind of laid seeds even from the beginning.
yeah,
That's the case.
And I don't mind that too, because like Orange kind of does those things, and like to most people, like you said, it's like whatever, it's just what he does. But like babyface or heel, I can see why like someone would be like, "Yo, why are you disrespecting me?" Like when we have
Yeah, it logically
match,
makes
right?
a lot of sense that even if he's a
Yeah,
face, like he's gonna, it makes sense to be disrespected by that. Like any
yeah,
common person can realize that.
yeah. Of course, like yeah, like a guy like Moxley would have the same kind of reaction, right? He'd be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's how it's gonna be." Then that's how it's gonna be, right? So that was. And speaking of Moxley, actually, after all this happens, Moxley just jumps OC and beats the living crap out of him, setting up a potential most likely angle there as well. He cut a promo
Mhm.
about it later too, about how he was just mad at OC interfering in his business the week before. So, like you said, a lot of seed laying this week. Not a whole lot of like big angles like came to fruition, but a lot of little things happen that are like, be like, oh, where's this? Oh, where's a lot of cool stuff going? Like specifically this angle. Um, and then I guess we could move into like the main event, um, which was Darby against Swerve, which ended with AR Fox actually attacking Darby and joining the embassy.
Mhm.
So I guess as far as developments, that was the big development of the night. So what did you think about like that reveal? We can talk about the match too if you want. There's not that much to talk about. There was that one spot where he like did the side kick, but like off the top rope to the outside or something like that. That was
Yeah,
pretty
that was insane. He
insane.
he jumped off the stairs.
The
Like
stairs, yeah.
they had been pulled out and stuff. And yeah,
It was
it
it
was
was
so clean.
crazy. They did some
Like
crazy stuff in that match. Like Darby, Darby was doing his usual Darby things where he was just like,
yeah, but I'm excited that AR Fox has like a real angle
me
going.
too.
Um, there's a lot of bodies in the embassy right now, but I don't really think that's an issue, especially if like Khan and Tungalo are more on ROH, and
ROH.
Cage and Bill kind of do their thing. I feel like Bill's probably going to officially join too, which that's
Yeah, we
hot.
can talk about
Uh,
that too because I do
yeah,
think that's a possibility.
and he might even bring Lee Moriarty on with him. They still did team on Ring of Honor this week.
They
That's just
do,
like a
yeah.
big group, like, but I don't really see it. It's not really a negative. They're just not all gonna, between Ring of Honor, maybe they can all have something to do, but you ever have them all standing out there, lined up, it's going to look like a monster faction.
Yeah, it is. And I think that first of all, they don't really have a guy like AR Fox in that faction. It's like just a bunch of beefy dudes. So I
Mhm.
think that like
Outside
that
of
actually
Swerve, yeah,
adds outside of Swerve. Sure, yeah, sorry, I kind of forget Swerve's in there
yeah.
sometimes. Weirdly
He
enough.
rarely
But
teams with them. I mean, it makes sense though. They're literally just business partners. They're not
yeah,
friends,
and he's the
not
singles
regular
guy, right?
regular tag team partners. But
But yeah, other
it
than
was
Swerve, like
a
Swerve,
strategic merger.
and I think that AR Fox tagging with Swerve makes a lot of sense too. That's a great tag team right there. Makes a lot more sense than like Swerve and Cage is cool, but stylistically, I think it makes more sense to me. Like AR Fox and Swerve together, that's a cool team. Um, I don't know. I think it's also great that they're going to be giving AR Fox something to actually do. Um, he kind of was brought in and then signed, and then kind of just been taking losses and having great matches, but he's
I
kind of
think he's
been.
lost every single like dynamite match he's had.
Yeah, I can't remember him winning anything. I think he won like maybe like a Rampage match here and there,
Yeah.
like some dark stuff. Um, and he wasn't really using any stories that much, so this is like a big. I think it's a big deal for him, and he's having like a prominent role in a prominent faction against Darby, who is like is a pretty big star on the roster and pretty high up in the. He might even be involved in the TNT title stuff at some point, right? Because Darby's got that title shot.
I don't think this feud's gonna be a short one, and I don't know how it's gonna, factor into that TNT title match at
Fair
All
enough.
Out.
Yeah.
But I do think like it's gonna be something to do with it. I think it might just be more of like Darby feuding with both like Luchasaurus, Christian, and them kind of at the same time, and then maybe he'll just work
Yeah.
out the Swerve feud after. But you've got like Nick Wayne on Darby's side.
Yeah. That's what I was going to bring up.
So I imagine they'll do a tag match at some point. Nick Wayne and Darby against Swerve and AR Fox.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that at All In like the lower card, and I think that would be okay.
Yeah,
if they want to go that route,
get those 4 on the card. If you're going to do that, you got to throw in Sting or something, though. Add another guy.
Yeah, Sting's banged up, but I'm sure there's for sure they're going to bring him to England.
He's got to be on ice until London, basically.
Yeah. They're giving him like the Omega treatment before Forbidden Door, where they like bubble wrapped him basically for a month.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. As far as like you said to join the faction, I think it's really good. I think it's going to be good for the faction too. I mean, it's good for Darby to have like a large amount of people to feud with as well, because
it just allows him to have a lot of singles matches, basically too.
Yeah, and he's pretty powered up, right? Like he doesn't lose a lot in AEW, so throwing him obstacles where it makes sense where he could lose, like he did against Swerve, makes a lot of sense to me as well. It makes Swerve have a win over someone that's actually like strong as well, which is good for Swerve. So I think it helped pretty much everybody in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really curious to where it's going to go. Like you said, I think I'm with you that it's going to be a longer term feud. I mean, like we know that Swerve feuds tend to go on forever, anyways. Still not sure what's going on with Lee. Maybe he'll get involved in this feud too. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that actually wouldn't be a bad shout either.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for like the big story beats on Dynamite. Oh, there's the I guess we could talk about this shortly because it was actually pretty important. The Jericho Callis stuff.
And the painting.
The painting and the fact that he's tagging with Takeshita against Sammy and Garcia next week, which is a pretty dirty move.
Yeah, Jericho had a tweet like today or yesterday. Sammy tweeted something about like enjoying his birthday. It's typical like out of character tweet. Just him,
sure.
Ty, saying thanks for birthday wishes, whatever, with some pictures and stuff. And Jericho quoted was like, "Hey, happy birthday, my pal. Can you please answer your phone? I've been trying to reach you."
Oh man, they don't want nothing. He doesn't. Sammy's been sick of Jericho's crap for a while, though. Like,
yeah, it's like the recent development I'd say is Garcia finally seemingly seeing the light.
Yeah, because he was pretty deep with the Jericho stuff. Him and all even I think even Matt Menard. Not being
that promo was so weird because he was so quiet.
It was terrifying. It was terrifying.
His eyes weren't even like twitching or anything. He was like a regular human.
Just like figure it out. It was good. I really like this breakup angle. I think it's actually quite organic, and I think it's still going to lead.
And I have no idea where it's going to go because there's so many ways it could go.
Yeah,
and I'm like genuinely just excited to see where they go. Like, because I think I'm going to be. I guess like not surprised, but no one scenario seems most predictable to me. So
I agree. Because they're laying it on so thick, right? They're laying it on so thick with Callis that I think the obvious move is that they're gonna just backstab Jericho anyways, and he's gonna end up with nobody, and that's how he turns face.
Yeah.
But that's just one theory. Like you said, he could just join the family, and that would be fine too. I was talking this morning about a funny idea of him tagging with Omega, which would be funny.
Yeah, I've actually I suggested that a while back when.
Oh, did you? That's awesome.
They first like teased. I think it was when Callis and Jericho first started like having those segments, and we kind of thought like, oh, this might be leading to Jericho face turn. I was like, someone find out when their next Winnipeg show is, because I guarantee you,
Winnipeggers,
Jericho and Omega together for it. They'll find a way. They'll stretch the feud. They'll do whatever they have to.
Like, I don't know about Kenny, but I can almost guarantee that like it's on Jericho's bucket list that he wants to tag at least once with Omega on TV. Like, just knowing how he operates.
And doing it in Winnipeg with Don also involved that would be amazing. Like,
I mean, that's their like dream come true for them, right? Like,
yeah,
they'd be so
like come
happy.
full circle from the New Japan match, really.
Yeah, That's true.
all the way back across the world to their home. It's poetic.
It is. Man, that painting gimmick though. it's
God.
it's too much.
Someone on a podcast I was listening to said like they thought maybe it was AI like generated painting
No.
and got corrected. Like no, it's like it's one woman has painted all of these.
Yep,
She's on
she's on
Twitter.
Twitter.
Like I've seen it before. I've seen her Instagram and everything. She does other things too, obviously. But
Of course, I would hope so. It would be a very niche market if not.
Oh my god.
But yeah, no, I really like the story, and like you said, I'm not 100% sure where anything is going, which is always like a fun thing. It's not so much fun when it's too obvious. So, and it's gonna be nice to just break up Jazz because I think it's pretty much run its course, and I think it's gonna be good for a lot of the for Garcia especially to just go and do something else.
I think the only person it's really might not be good for is like Hager. But yeah, he's been around a while.
I was gonna say he might be like ready to hang it up soon enough. Like he hasn't really.
I mean, he barely
wrestles like twice a year.
Yeah, he was never even doing dark or anything like that when he wasn't on wrestling on Dynamite like other guys would. So yeah, I don't really know what he's doing anymore.
I mean, if he wants to stick around, I don't really care. Like I don't really have a problem with him in the ring. Like the few matches he's had haven't been bad. They've been fine.
No, it's fine. I mean, if they want to do anything like that, they could keep him with like the 2.0 guys or something.
Yeah,
as like a lower card trio, do more comedy stuff.
I think that'd be that actually. Yeah. You know what? Him with those two would be fine.
Because I don't imagine they're going to be too high on the card. I just hope they keep they have a place to do their stuff, whether it's on Rampage or what. I don't need them to be pushed or anything. I just want to see them on a show.
I mean,
at least
I think it's fair to think that we will, just because just judging by how much TV time they did get all the time,
even Ring of Honor at the least too.
Definitely. Well, they're gonna need tag teams in ROH, I think, because I'm pretty sure the Kingdom is done there too. So,
I really don't think Aussie Open will probably do it because they just work so much. They'll work any taping you tell them to do.
Yeah,
but I just can't imagine they're long of being an ROH team, or if they are, they're gonna just do both. They're already on Dynamite this week. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're not gonna. Yeah, they're gonna be a. Tony just paid them. He's gonna use them wherever he can.
Yeah. So I was kind of surprised they won the titles. I mean, I wasn't because kind of seemed like an obvious choice
pretty much
too,
the same. Pretty much how I felt actually. I was I said, yeah, that makes sense, but that's not what I was expecting.
It's probably not optimal. I guess I would say that. It was a safe choice. Everyone loves them. They were probably the best team in the match. I mean, they're probably the best team in the world right now. But yeah, it's just kind of weird to me.
Maybe they just maybe it's a good excuse to just kind of have them wrestle on ROH to kind of get their reps, but not lose matches and not just do
he probably also. I don't know how much this will work, but I get the theory, and I could see Tony believing that just putting the ROH belts with them gives them more legitimacy for their
kind of does,
AEW Dynamite debut. Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree. I think a lot of people would say, "Who gives a fuck?" Because it probably just depends on the person.
And I can see that
if it's more one way or more another. But I definitely get the theory, and I think that's probably what he's going with too.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if they're walking on Dynamite with gold on their shoulder, that's not obviously to the casual eye who doesn't know who they are. They're gonna be like, "Oh, that must mean they're good." So
yeah,
in that basic sense, I get it.
The Lucha Bros were on Dynamite with the titles. They defended them at least once, off the top of my head, on Dynamite. So yeah, everyone knows them. Oh, that's the same belts the Lucha Bros had. At the very least, that much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
ROH.
Yeah, I get what you mean that they're not as important, but it also I think had they won the ROH belts before?
No.
Okay, so it might have also just been let's put these on there so you can put that on your resume.
Yeah, exactly. Because they won, both New Japan ones. I want to say they had a small run with Impacts, but I might be wrong there. They definitely challenged for Impacts too, though.
I want to say that they won them.
If they did, it was a really small run. It was like the.
But now I'm not sure.
Had a really small run, something like that.
That's right. See, I forgot about that too. You're right. I forgot that short Impact Briscoe's run before they re-signed with ROH because of Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they would have been signed to AEW immediately, if not.
Yeah, because apparently the Bucks and FTR both wanted it. Like, those are your top two teams. Two are VPs pushing for it. Yeah, there's no chance they would.
Yeah, and if Tony is to be believed, like he's apparently was himself a like massive mark for them. So I think he probably wanted them from the get go. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I don't know why he would make that up. So. But yeah, I think that wraps pretty much that up, and then we have the preview for FTR, Cole, and MJF.
Mm-hmm.
They had some pretty spicy promos.
Collision.
Yeah, and they had some pretty spicy promos. MJF went in pretty deep with, especially at Dax. He went pretty hard at Dax over his appearance and talked about shoving his hand so far down his ass that he was going to taste CM Punk's jockstrap, which was a nice touch, pretty classy. Oh, and he brought up, and then the funniest part for me was that he imitated his promo and said exactly how his every single Dax promo is, and then Dax cut that exact promo.
Yeah,
which was
and the gimmick
perfect.
Was that Dax he hadn't seen the MJF promo yet, which like makes it even better.
Only for a second. Yeah, I don't know if in kayfabe at least, right?
Yeah.
Who knows what they did or didn't know? But yeah, in kayfabe, so it was perfect. It was like, I swear, if he said something about my daughter. Oh, good stuff, man. What do you think is going to happen on this match? I know we talked about it last week a little bit because they won.
Well, so just following like the Collision formula, I'm assuming it's probably going to be main event. And it'll probably get a lot of time because the main events on Collision, like every week, have gotten a lot of time.
They get like 30,
which means they're gonna do a lot of, I don't want to call it nonsense at the beginning, but just the MJF Adam Cole stuff. Like, it's gonna be over the top, like 80s. I would say formula, like is probably the right word. Like just like what they did against Big Bill and Brian Cage. They're gonna tweak it to like when people would fight the Midnight Express or whatever. That's like the FTR equivalent.
It's gonna be so good. I'm so excited for this match. I really don't.
I bet they try to throw in some comedy too. But I bet overall that Dax is probably gonna try to like shut it down. He's gonna like pop him in the mouth or something.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
It's probably gonna get both of them mad or something. And it's probably I think it's gonna be really good because just the way I'm imagining it's gonna be laid out with a lot of time. I think it's gonna be really fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly how it's gonna go. I think it's gonna start with some comedy, like you said, and then like it's gonna really get to Dax and Cash, and eventually they're just gonna like get too pissed off and put a stop to it, and do something really like probably maybe even a bit dirty, and then that's when MJF and Cole will get like super serious.
So one thing I just thought about that I hadn't actually thought about before for some reason with this match. It was because you brought up the CM Punk's jockstrap line. I mean, it's not the first time MJF has been on Collision, but now he's on Punk's show fighting Punk's guys. Like, and CM Punk has a promo scheduled. I know he's still feuding with Ricky or whatever, but he's mentioned MJF like in most.
And he's mentioning the bag.
Yeah,
he's mentioning the bag.
So they're both mentioning each other. They're going to be on the same show. And he's even fighting Punk allies now. Like, I don't know. I feel like they probably won't do anything tonight, but I just saw the possibility.
There's good. I don't think there's good. I could see like a crossing in the hall or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe like Punk will cut his promo before. Maybe Punk's promo was scheduled like right before the main event, and then he walks out and they do that thing. Maybe that could.
It all depends on what the promo even is too, because Ricky could get involved. Like, who knows?
That's true. It might just stick to. It might just stick to Ricky.
Not scheduled officially, right? I don't think he's in a match.
Not officially, no. Neither him nor Jay White are on the card.
I would say like 90% chance he interrupts Punk than Ricky.
I would say.
That's actually true.
Punk interrupting him, right?
Yeah, I doubt Jay White is gonna just miss a week unless he just gets a week off or whatever.
I think he'll just corner. I think he'll corner or he'll do commentary. I would assume. I'd be shocked if he wasn't there unless he's got like a reason.
Oh wait, no, don't they have that 6-man?
They do, but he's not in it.
Oh, he's not. Is it Guns and Juice?
It's Guns and Juice, yeah. So he'll
I
probably
don't
be
think I ever
either
actually
cornering.
registered that. Yeah, so he'll probably be there for that.
Yeah, he'll be there, and there's no way he's gonna be off the card. Like his boys are
No.
fighting, right?
Yeah, no, I was just thinking of people not announced yet that are almost certainly going to be there because that usually means they're interrupting someone or something.
Yeah, that's right. So I think I think all of that makes sense. I think that's exactly how that stuff's gonna go down. Let's get to the difficult part though. Who's winning?
If I had to put money on it, I'm still going FTR. It's a safe booking, probably the planned booking. I will 100% believe if they lose that it was not the original plan.
For sure. I mean, man, it's tough, right? Because like we didn't talk about Rampage, but Big Bill and Brian Cage won this like battle royale, so they're up next after, which is not something AEW typically does. Is set up two challengers like this. Kind of weird.
No, it's
But then
kind of
they
weird.
but then they have his. We know for a fact, and I know they're doing this to like put some doubt. We know for a fact that Big Bill and Cage got beaten by MJF and Cole before, so they probably want that rematch for like regardless. So it's putting some doubt onto who's going to win here. If I had to put money, I would also pick FTR. But I don't know. Like if I was booking, I think I would just go crazy and put
Yeah, and like I don't know how it would affect the Wembley plans because I don't 100% know what they are. I mean, I've been thinking MJF versus Adam Cole for a while, but like, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad it's more open though because we did say from the start, like, yeah, just the last few weeks, and then they're turning on each other. Still might, and still that probably would be fine, but now we don't know. So it just again, it's we don't know. We can't predict it as well as we were from the start.
And I forgot to mention, or we forgot to mention, there's also the whole Radia angle.
Yeah.
Could he interfere? Could he screw this up for them? Or do they win and then he's even more mad? Which would also be great. Like there's so many things they could do here.
Because I'm still a little like I wouldn't say I'm confused by his role, but I'm confused where they're going with his part in this. Like
flew in just to complain.
Yeah.
With a big goofy neck brace. It's hilarious.
Yeah, the neck brace kills me every time. I love that he's still selling that. Like,
yeah,
but doesn't want revenge on Joe or anything. He's just worried about Adam.
Yeah, it's weird, right? He's being he's literally being like a negative Nancy about the whole thing. It's kind of hilarious. Like he's right, like, but going about it completely the wrong way and looking like a fool. But yeah, there's just so many like weird ingredients to this that oddly work and makes you doubt what's going to happen. Even if you think the most logical thing is that they lose and break up. That's what always happens. Yeah. But they've like sowed enough doubt and they're so over that you're like, oh, I don't know. Is it too early?
But then there's even if they do lose and break up, there's the how of it at this point now. Like, is it just Max going to be, typical heel? Or are they going to do something different where it's actually like kind of Cole doing it or a misunderstanding kind of thing? They could actually even just do the breakup in a lot of different ways.
They could do a double turn. They could do a no turn, like just a regular MJF stays heel.
Could do MJF debuting some new backup or something. Or maybe not debuting is not the right word. It could be people already under contract, but you know what I mean. Like
that's true. They still have. Speaking of which, there's a few people they haven't even debuted yet that have been under contract for like months, which is weird. But we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much everything for AEW. I think we covered pretty much everything that like is super important. There's some good stuff for 200.
I was gonna say if we have some time at the end of the show, we could look at the card previews
for 200. Yeah,
for tonight and for that Dynamite.
Okay, yeah, we can move on to. I think we were gonna do G1 first and then WWE.
Yeah.
I'll do the other.
We go to the G1. Okay. You start talking about the Osprey Okada match, and I'm gonna pull up the standings, and we can kind of go through the current standings.
Yeah. So Osprey Okada, I didn't watch all of the matches of that card specifically. I only watched that match because I was a bit busier this week. But this match was pretty much exactly what you would imagine from these two. It was main event like pay-per-view type level stuff, except maybe a little less long. Just because it's the.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. That's what made it so much different, and like almost better to me in ways.
Yeah,
like,
it's a sprint.
It was a Okada Ospreay sprint. Never seen that before.
Yeah. Yeah, a main event sprint too. So it wasn't just like doing
Yeah.
moves for the sake of doing moves. Like they were just like beating the ever loving crap out of each other. There was like a ripcord. I think the close to the finish, I think, was the ripcord hidden blade, which was a pretty neat
Yeah.
counter. And I think it's one of the first times that somebody's actually like managed to get out of the landslide as well, because he hit the landslide and he didn't connect with the Rainmaker, which like that does happen sometimes, but it's rare. Well, usually when he hits the landslide, that's it.
It's I guarantee it's saved only for main events. It's never not happened in a main event match on any show.
So that's shocking, and it's the first time he's ever beat him clean. So, man, Ospreay has beaten Kenny Omega and Okada in the span of a month. It's pretty insane to think about. I don't know what else to say about the match. Like, there's a couple of chops that Will threw that were nuts. I mean, there wasn't any like particularly like crazy spot to me that I can remember, but it was what you would expect from those two. Like it was just their best offense
I'd
from
say
both.
the spots that really stand out were like the DDT to the outside, but Okada's also done that every single match of the G1 so far.
I know, he's a jerk.
It just looks sick every time. Like, and then there was that where it was almost a count out from both sides, but Ospreay lined him up to hit the springboard right when Okada came back in. That was pretty cool, especially the way Kevin Kelly was like mentioning. It was like, wait, what's Ospreay doing? Beforehand.
Yeah, Will Ospreay is just on another planet right now. He also cut a great promo afterwards, and he talked a lot of crap about the Three Musketeers and put himself over, which is like I don't know. I guess it's been a while now, but it's always still shocking to me how confident he is on the microphone now compared to how he was even like 2 years ago, a year ago, even.
Yeah.
Like he's the man right now, as far as I'm concerned. I really do think he's the best wrestler on the planet, in and out of the ring. I don't think there's anybody close to him right now. He's just consistent and excellent at everything. It's crazy. And I don't know if he's going to win the G1. I don't know if that's New Japan's plans, but I hope he does, because I think he deserves that another Wrestle Kingdom main event.
Yeah, I think it all depends on. I mean, he says he's staying when his contract's up. If he really does, I think you reward him with the title run.
Like, you kind of have to.
100%. Like
that's what's yeah. Like it's hard to see, right? Because like you said, you kind of have to, but I can also kind of see that like he's getting all the last accolades he needs to do and like check off his list before he leaves New Japan.
I actually did hear someone bring that up. Like they're like, oh, he finally beats Okada clean, and it's in front of like not even 2,000 people in a midway G1 card. Like, yeah, it was a main event, but seems kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really quite the exact same comparison, but it does feel a little bit like when they didn't have Omega win at Wrestle Kingdom against Okada, but like did at a Dominion show instead. So they didn't give him the big moment at the big show. I would say it's a little bit different because Omega still got his moment, but for me as a fan, for example, even at the time, I was like, it still felt a little bit like here you go, as opposed to like you actually earned this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, I think that was one of the top matches of the tournament so far. I don't think I would actually put it at like the top. Like
no,
just because this has been a weird tournament. I don't think there's any one like real standout like crazy match like must watch. But there's been so many that I'd put in like that upper tier of great G1 matches.
Yeah, like that, like 4.25.
Basically every Shingo match, every Ishii match, every Ospreay match, and every Okada match, pretty much.
Yeah, they have just not missed. Like even in Okada's having a really good tournament. Honestly, like loss aside, he's looked amazing. Freaking Cobb is also looking amazing right now.
Yeah, that too. And I do like we'll get to it more when we look at the standings, but that B block with Okada and Ospreay, they like the matches that came out of that block has been insane. A lot of it's due to Okada and Ospreay, like pulling out like amazing matches against Great Okan, like Ospreay and Okada both had great ones against Yoshihashi. Which he's gotten really good now too on his own. So I don't even really think that's like them carrying him a lot or anything. Like Tonga Loa has had good matches. Like let me look at it. Oh yeah, like Kenta even, like everyone's talking about how he went back to his Noah days against Ospreay. That block has been killing it the whole time. It's been the best block for me. Like
I think it's the most stacked block for sure. Like just as far as performances go. The problem with the Shingo and Eddie Kingston and Co block is that it has evil, so it like kind of every single match with that unfortunately gets dragged down.
Yeah, like
Sucks.
at least like Tonga Loa is like the weak link in that B block, but you can't say he's not gonna try. It's not gonna be any like bullshit,
Well, actually, I'll get it a little more spicy on that other block. Like, not only does it have evil, it also has freaking Finley, who has not been having great matches in my opinion, and doesn't have Tama Tonga in it too, who's like not really like he's an average worker.
See, I actually disagree though. I think Finley's had really good matches.
Really? Okay, interesting.
My problem has been more like the longer it goes on, the less I am feeling like, but not between the bell, but outside of the bell, Finley. Like, especially because the rest of the group is so much cooler than him now. Outside of the House of Torture.
We can talk about this for
bell to bell. Bell to bell, I think he's had some really good matches. Like against Ishii, which I shouldn't be surprised about.
Right.
That was great. But I was actually really surprised how much I liked the Tama Tonga Finley match. It was better than their last one they had. I think that was at Dominion.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I think it was a lot better. I could definitely see that. And it's when he has main events specifically, which thankfully these aren't going longer than 20, even when he does. Those are where I get bored. But when he's going like 15 or so, I've found his matches have been actually really good. Like some of the better ones.
Cool. Oh, that's fair enough. We can talk a little bit about Finley actually, because I've been seeing like more and more and more chatter about it online. Like at first it was kind of just like haha, but like especially with how the other War Dogs are coming out in this tournament and really showing their personality, he's kind of getting overshadowed.
It's funny too, because I thought bringing in those guys, which I was good, like I was good with that. I liked bringing in those guys. I thought it would help the perception of Finley as like Bullet Club leader, like just because I thought it would help the group overall, and he's the leader, blah blah blah. But yeah, it seems to have hurt the perception of Finley and only Finley, not the group.
All I'm seeing online is that people want Gabe to lead, which is crazy, but like he's getting
that's insane too, and I kind of just feel like that's
too much for me there, but
we're the target audience of like the people tweeting that. Like I really do not think that's a very prominent opinion, but I've seen it more than I would have expected to.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of like let's pump the brakes there. Like he's showing some good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I would prefer Finley keep going.
Yeah,
because I think my opinion on Finley right now is he's perfectly adequate. I'm okay with him doing anything in this tournament. He can even make it to the finals, and I'll be okay with it as long as he doesn't win.
He can't win this tournament.
He's perfectly adequate. He can have the good matches. He could be a good heel as long as he's against a good, baby face that can counter it well enough. So I don't have any issue with the wins he's gotten. Him being top of his block, nothing like that. But he's just kind of boring. Like that's all.
Yeah. So maybe it's just his persona in ring that just and his finisher, in my opinion. Yeah. We've talked about this. I think his finisher is absolute trash. Terrible finisher.
No, it's so funny. It was like okay when he was a babyface, kind of like with all his energy, because it's kind of like a chaotic, kind of move. You're just like spinning him and dropping him on your knee.
You're like, whoa, yeah.
He was a tag guy.
Yeah.
You can finish tag matches with stuff like that. It's fine. But now it's so funny because he's trying to do it more menacingly, I guess. And so he's like pulling down his knee pad, and I feel like he tries to do it slower almost, which doesn't make it look any better.
No, it doesn't. It just makes it look like he rolls over his shoulder.
At least he changed the name. He changed it to the stupid edgy name, but it was originally called the Trash Panda, which is hilarious for face, David Finley and Juice Robinson, their stuff. But thank God he changed the name.
Oh my God. I had no idea it was called the Trash Panda, and like. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me, like as Finn Juice. Absolutely not as a top
I'm shocked he did not come up with a new finish. Like that's just a thing everyone always does when they do these big character changes, especially in New Japan. Like you saw Sonata did it.
Yeah,
Like,
you went
bro,
heel,
just
get a big
figure something
slam,
out.
get a big slam or a stunner or
Yeah, I
something.
mean, do some kind of like DDT type thing. Well, I guess Sonata's doing that, so that'd be too much like him. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Like, what was his dad's finisher?
he used to do kind of like a tombstone, like sit out thing. But then obviously you couldn't do that in, like WB and I think even late WCW. And he would do like like same as his white noise. I think that was his WWE finisher. I don't remember what he called it though, but you know that.
I don't think
whatever the
I
hell
don't
it's
think
called.
Finley's a thick enough boy to do that, but
No, and it's a regular move. Like so many people do it now. So yeah, I don't
the
think he
tombstone,
should
I'm
do
not
that.
sure. It depends if it's too close to Okada's stuff. Then like it might, if it looks too close to those kinds of moves, then they might not want to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really think.
I mean, I'm a
take
big
much
fan
from
of pile drivers
Finley.
with heels, so like give him something
The
that
bad
hurts
thing is
somebody's
Finley.
necks.
He never fucking won, so he never had to have a strong finish.
It was always juice. But I know I don't want to sound mean, but
No,
like
no, I'm talking about his dad. His dad.
his dad. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about.
That's also true, though. It was
He's the
Juice
other
always
guy in
did finish those matches.
Juice.
I feel like, or they would have a double team finisher kind of thing.
Jay's just gotta take that faction.
Yeah. All right, but we can go through
the block, yeah.
now though, and kind of talk about any matches that we get reminded of as I'm naming names. So in the A block, Sonata has already officially claimed a playoff spot. We just no one knows about seeding yet because he's still undefeated. And at this point, I don't know that he's going to lose in his block. I kind of don't think he will. I think they're going to save his loss until the playoffs.
That's right.
Yeah, which I guess it makes sense because then he only has the one loss, and you can set up one challenger after it. Where it's kind of they do it every year usually, but it's a little hard to justify like when two people beat the champion and one gets a title shot after and the other one just kind of
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
but so
he's got a tiebreaker, right? So he's got a tiebreaker with the person in second place. So I think that's why he's
right. Yeah, he's
number one seed no matter what.
At the moment, he has tiebreakers against everyone he's faced because he's beat them.
Yeah,
I just don't exactly remember who all it's been so far. But so in second place is Shota Umino and Kaito Kiyomiya at 6 points. They're two fucking draws. This is the draw block.
Yeah. So Shota and Kiyomiya.
And then you got Gabe Kidd at 5. Chase Owens and Hikuleo both have 4. Yota Tsuji has 3, and Rin Narita has 2. Rin Narita has 2.
So he's out.
And he has no wins, actually. Those are 2 draws. Not officially, I don't believe yet, but yes.
We can be honest with each other. He's not making it.
I don't think Tsuji has a chance either with his 3. Honestly, I think you can roll out Tsuji just because he only has 3, which I think is stupid because I think he would have been good in the playoffs.
He's going to go down to it's going to be Kyo or Shota.
Yeah, that's 100%. I don't think Gabe Kidd makes it, but I'd give him a slight chance, and then Chase Owens and Hikuleo definitely not. So yeah, it's those top 4. I'd say still have a chance, but very, very slim one for Gabe. And Sonata obviously is confirmed already.
So what do you think? I think that's a tough one because
I'd say both are good choices. Shota and Kaito both have had probably 2 of the more impressive tournaments, I would say. Like I think you mentioned it, the Kaito Gabe Kidd match was insane. That was Kaito's draws. Yeah, just absolutely brutal. It was like it was the same Kaito that came out at that Wrestle Kingdom match against Okada, like when they were just brawling for a while. Yeah. It was like you could see like his face changes. Like it almost looks like a shoot because he looks legitimately mad. That's like awesome. Even though I know it's planned.
Yeah.
And then Shota's look really good. I heard someone talk about like I didn't really like think about this myself, but it makes sense. It's his selling this tournament. He's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
At actually playing kind of like a babyface in peril with, especially with how over he's gotten with like kids. So it's making it work like so much better.
It's very over with the Japanese crowd.
So both I would say are good choices. I prefer Kaito just because I think that's a cooler story with the Noah tie-in. And then hopefully he can fucking fight Okada.
Yes. in which wherever that ends up, I think the semis or something like that, it would end up being.
Yeah, no, it's like weird because it depends on who's first and second in the blocks is how they're seeded.
We don't know yet.
So because Okada could still get second instead of first, so then you don't know. We know for now Kaito would for sure be second, but yeah, so I don't even care to look at it. It's not like too complicated. It's just not worth even trying to predict before it's finalized.
It's a tough one. Like I have the same points you do really on this. Is that the Kaito stuff would be amazing for the Noah tie-in, but on the other side, Shota's super over, and he, in my opinion, he's clearly the guy they were getting behind the most out of the three right now, because I think in their eyes he's the furthest one along.
I think so too. Like I think personally, Suji has looked the best,
Me too. He looks
but
great.
I don't think Shota's much under him necessarily.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm shocked that Suji only has the one win so far. Like it was actually a really good match, so I don't want to take anything away from it, especially because Hikuleo has looked a lot better than I expected. Because I was kind of down on him being included. Not that like I expected it because he's been featured so prominently, but I was just like, those are matches I'm not looking forward to. But he's had a good tournament. But he actually beat Suji, and especially like I'd say the last 2 minutes of the match were just downright great. Like it may actually be the best overall Hikuleo match I've ever seen. But shocked, like, why did he beat Suji?
I don't. It looks like with Tsuji to me, like they're doing that whole like "you're not ready yet" angle thing, and between him and
Well, if
Sonata.
that's the case, why did they have his first match back a title match? Like I'm fine with him losing
I
it,
don't know. It's
but I thought he would go on wins after.
he's gonna be the Naito of the group for
Yeah, and he
sure.
looks so awesome. Like in every one of these matches, he does these dives. Like he did one, I think it was the first match he had of the tournament, where he went halfway over the rail.
Yeah.
Like it looked like it really hurt. I was kind of worried he hurt himself.
Would
He
you agree?
throws so much force into it.
Yeah, this shit he does is crazy. Like, would you agree that his look and his style is out of the three New Musketeers thing that they're doing? He's probably the one that appeals to an American audience the most.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I
I
think so
think
too.
like Shota is probably the one that would appeal more to the Japanese fan
Yes,
base, from what I
I
know. I'm
agree
not
too.
going to pretend to be an expert on that, but just same way like Okada appealed more than Tanahashi to most American fans.
Of
If
course,
I had to
he's a big
guess,
guy.
yeah, and probably he did cooler moves. Wasn't the white meat baby face that Tanahashi was, which Shota is 100%, but that's what he needs to be. He does
That's
not
what they
need to
want
be,
him to be. They want him to be the next
So yeah, I
guy
think
like
it's
that.
going to be a case of which the New Japan fans we mostly would hear opinions from are based in North America, obviously not based in Japan, and the opinions differ like a lot from what the actual Japanese crowd thinks. Like
Definitely,
often I find, and that's the reason, especially like with foreigners, which does seem like that's changed a ton this year with just the reactions the foreigners have gotten from the
yeah,
Japanese
that's
crowds.
a
Like I
good
don't even
point.
think anyone
Actually,
can dispute that now. But like in the past, I never really disagreed that yeah, it sucks because we would want your Kenny or Osprey or Jay White to get a Wrestle Kingdom win. That's not what they're gonna do. That's not what the Japanese audience wanted most of those
that's right.
times.
That's
You
right.
know, so I just kind of like accepted it. It wasn't my favorite, but I'm also not their target audience. I'm
Yeah,
the auxiliary audience. That
that's right. That's right. We're not paying the bills, right? Like
yeah.
at the end of the day, we're not going. We're not the ones buying tickets. The Japanese
Yeah,
crowds are.
that's how they make most of their money still too, is
Yeah,
is ticket sales, like straight up. So
yeah. Like we joke about like Lolo Okada wins at Wrestle Kingdom, but like the Japanese crowd genuinely love that. They love Okada.
mhm.
Like he's
I will
literally
say
their
too, it's
guy.
been interesting this tournament. It's not that they're not cheering for Okada because they still do. They've been cheering for his opponents, I think, harder in almost every match.
It might have.
It kind of doesn't matter who it is. Like,
I think they might have reached that spot where like they're not gonna boo him, but like he's won a lot of G. He was won two G1s in a row, didn't he?
I think they just want that. They just want to see the upsets. Is kind of
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it feels to me. And really, when I watch, it's like the same way too. So it hurts even more when it doesn't happen, when the crowd is also kind of deflated
Oh
because
man,
of
I
it.
know. That's such a classic Okada thing too. Like he's so good at making you actually believe that you're gonna beat him. He's like, nah.
I really thought Yoshihashi was going to beat him. I predicted it last week, and when I
You
was
did. I
watching this
remember.
match,
I remember.
I did not know the result. I've been good about not reading the results as long as I can watch them. Like pretty soon after I wake up. I haven't been looking at results prior. Like I used to be really bad about that. So I did not know who won, and I really thought Yoshihashi was going to at one point.
Yeah, man. Okada's the man for that. I'm surprised how much they love Will Ospreay too, because he was booed in America basically, because well in Canada, but like
Yeah.
he's still. I guess he is he a full on babyface in Japan, or is he just kind of a tweener?
I'd say yes. Like there was never a turn with the United Empire at all.
Okay.
They were 100% heels before, and I can't even pinpoint when it happened. It was like they were doing separate stuff too, so it's they weren't doing as much stuff as a group, and they
Okay.
always did have the thing where and Kevin Kelly made sure to point it out every time they would have seconds. You know, it wouldn't be the whole group usually, but it would be like one person cornering someone else in the group for their match. They never interfered, like never even came, no distract, nothing. They were just there, you know, being proper seconds, but they were still dicks. They were still heels. But then it just, I don't know. They started cheering. Honestly, the catalyst may have been when Great O'Khan saved that girl.
Right. He saved that girl
Like
in real
because
life.
that was a big deal. That was like national news in Japan, and he was still kind of being heelish about it at first, like kind of playing it up, like gloating about being a hero kind of thing. But it didn't work. They didn't boo him. They kept cheering him, and it kind of just morphed from he just started owning it, and I feel like they just started leaning into like more wacky like antics,
Yeah.
like kind of off of Great O'Khan though, like in his like Twitter persona.
It's kind of weird.
And
Like,
also Aussie Open getting really a good Japan push up too, because
right.
they were like really never heelish. They were pretty much cheered from the start. Everyone just, you know, loved their matches and stuff. So that helped a lot. And then it kind of just Osprey just started being less of a dick in Japan, I would say.
Yeah.
And that so it just happened. Even you had like TJP and Acura again, both basically TJP just started being he just stopped being a dick. Like, you know, he stopped intentionally being obnoxious to the crowd. And
That was enough.
you know, him and Acura do crazy stuff in their matches, especially Acura. So they ended up getting the cheers too. Like,
yeah, Acura's more of a
and
match.
now you see like Hanari, no one's booing Hanari. Like,
why would they?
yeah,
He's
it's
awesome.
just weird. It was very, very organic face turn for the group, and I really liked it. Like, I became like a big fan as it was happening.
Yeah, it's weird. They're like almost like a face version of like vintage Bullet Club in a weird way.
Yeah,
because they're still kind of dickish.
because they're all foreign.
Yeah, they're all foreign. They're kind of like they've got big attitudes. At least let's put it that way. And
and they're made up. It's I do love like the name United Empire. Like actually fits. Like they represent a lot of different countries.
It's cool.
You know,
it's really cool.
Like because I saw something. This was completely unrelated, but it was a like a World Cup kind of thing, like CMLL's doing, and the list of participants listed their nationality. I didn't realize TJP was from the Philippines. I actually kind of thought he was American. He's lived here most of his life.
Right.
I think
I didn't realize he was.
Or if not, his parents were at least, so he can claim it. So like that's even more like that I realized. Like Acura's from Italy. Okan's what, like Mongolian? Isn't that a shoot? I don't think that's a gimmick.
I don't think he's.
I know in gimmick he is. I think it's a shoot though.
I think it's a shoot. And Osprey's British. Who else is in there? Hanari's from.
Hanari's New Zealand, I believe. If not, he's Aborigines, like Australian. But I think he's from New Zealand.
Yeah, I think so. From one of those tribes.
I feel like we're even missing members of the group. Aussie Open, obviously from Australia. Dan Maloney was there for like 2 weeks. He was UK too, I guess.
Yeah, no, they've got a lot of cool people in there. You're right that it's with Osprey too. I think like it wasn't going to be very hard for him to be a face because like if your work is that good in Japan, like they're going to respect you no matter what. So I think it.
Yeah, they really only boo like even when you're being heelish. Like you got to really cheat for them to boo you if you put on good matches.
Yeah,
like they only boo like the House of Torture.
Yeah,
and like even David Finlay matches, it's more cheering for the opponent. I would say.
They don't do a lot of.
They don't just flat out. They literally chant "Please go home" in Japanese to House of Torture. Every match.
Man, that's a brutal chant, but I love it. Yeah, freaking evil, man. He's the worst. But we can move on to like the two other blocks because we're actually taking a bit of time off this part.
Yeah. Well, it actually piggyback off that too because B block has Okada and Ospreay.
Right.
And they're at the top tied with 8 points. Gonna be shocked if that's not just the two that move on.
Yeah.
I would say the only other one with the chance is Taichi at 6. But I think he'll stay there, probably 3rd place.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind.
Cool
but...
long as he's got as long as he doesn't lose any stupid matches, I'm fine with it. As long as he keeps on putting on some good ones. He's already had his best matches though, so his tournament peaked.
Yeah, see, if they want to do a shock Taichi thing, I would have Okada like lose the rest of his matches and not.
Don't
keep
is,
Ospreay out of
since
it.
he did, I guess it could be notable though is he did beat Ospreay, so he would have a tiebreak on Ospreay, and he did lose to Okada. So if Taichi is involved at the end, it's going to be probably more Ospreay's hindrance, unless Okada just does
loses.
Losing.
Yeah. Oh man, I would hate that so much.
But I don't think he will either. So he lost to Ospreay. He beat Taichi. He beat Yoshihashi. He hasn't faced Kenta yet. He beat Great Okan and he beat LP. So it's only Kenta and Tonga Loa left, I'm pretty sure, for Okada. Okay, bro, he ain't fucking losing those.
No.
He might lose to Kenta. I really doubt it. It's going to be so much fuckery if he loses to Kenta.
I can't see it.
So real quick, before we move on, so God, I was reading the Observer this week, and Meltzer is doing his G1 report, and he's going over the matches, giving ratings to most of them. Not quite all. He probably hasn't watched all of them. There's so many. The Kenta and LP match, I think it was that one. Like 99% sure. The official match time was 17 fucking seconds.
Yeah, because they fucked around on the outside for the whole time.
Because they fought for 10 minutes. Yeah, he still rated the match with the brawl before it considered. And I'm like, I didn't think you did that. I thought that was a rule for all match rating people. You can only do bell to bell no matter what they do before and after. But he's just fuck it, I don't care anymore. I thought that was funny because he rated it pretty highly because the brawl was fun. But at the same time, it wasn't a match.
But it kind of was.
Brawling they're brawling in the stands the whole time. It's not like they were even in the ring. I don't know. It was just funny to me. And he had the match time included.
17 seconds.
So that made it even better. 17 seconds, 3.5 stars, or 4. You don't even win 4.
People are going to be so mad reading that back in a few years. What the hell?
Yeah. But the rest of that block, though, basically after Taichi, though, I don't think anyone has a chance. There's Yoshihashi and Kenta at 4 points. Oh, and Tonga Loa at 4 as well. I will say I was really down on Tonga Loa after the first match. That was brutal to get through against Kenta. Really, God, it was so bad. I'm not gonna lie. But he's looked better in his last few matches. He's actually looked quite a bit better than I think he looked before his injury. Okay, yeah. At least in I don't know. There's some weird things he still does that look a little on the fakeish side. Probably just thinking too hard or something. But I feel I think it was his knee that was all fucked up. And I think that was the problem with the Kenta match. It looked like he still couldn't fucking walk right. But I think he got over that. Maybe it was a fear thing. I don't know. Because now he's explosive as fuck.
Maybe that
I
was
think he's his best strength. That's why he can work in tags still. I still am not very happy. I'm seeing this many singles matches, but I'm thankful they've been a lot better the last probably 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mean it would be fun to see him and Tama tag against these new Bullet Club dudes.
Yeah, I think that's what they should do when they go back. Both are healthy. Let's end the singles experiment with Tama. I think it was okay for what it was with Tonga Loa out and the stories they had for him. But we don't need it anymore.
Follow-up question, and I don't know if you know the answer to this at all, because I don't. Did they resign?
Last I had heard was no, and that was right before they got announced for the G1.
That's right.
So they could, as far as I know, they could not appear again after the G1.
Interesting. So I was thinking, it doesn't make sense for them to join other people in other companies right now. I don't think so. I don't know. I guess maybe the OC, but I don't think that's happening because I don't think that the main roster is hiring. Until they hire somebody, they're not hiring. Is how I see it right now.
Allegedly, Brian Pillman Jr. We'll wait to see on that one. That one seems more likely though than.
But that's NXT, right? That's not the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you did say main roster. But even then, I honestly, they haven't even hired anyone for NXT outside of the
Dragon Lee. That's it.
Since him, and that was December. So that was actually before the merger.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, he announced he signed that contract after he beat FTR. There was that big controversy.
That's right. That was kind of a bit weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the calendar year, they haven't hired anybody. That's not a direct signing.
And they've had deals fall through that we know of for sure with Colby Carino. I wouldn't say that's official, but right. I believe it. Colby Carino straight up though. not lying. Like, I think you'd be foolish to think he's lying about that. It's a very
I wouldn't.
very easily believable story, and he doesn't paint anyone in a bad light, really. So
Yeah, I'm sure like a few other people that we don't know about like were unofficially told they were coming in, and then we're like, sorry.
I could almost buy Cardona, but at the same time, because it's hard to tell with him how much he works all the time on social media. I do genuinely believe, though, like he's not going to accept just a deal if they don't let him do what he wants because he's making so much money getting to do this indie stuff and doing what he wants. So he would probably want not like creative control, but just assurances that
he's not gonna get fucked over.
he's not gonna be stuck doing nonsense or not doing anything. And they probably don't want to give me. I can't blame him. Like, they probably look at him like, why do you need this special treatment when other people don't ask for it? But at the same time, like, yeah, he's probably just not going to sign.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, especially with the old man back. Like, I think if it was maybe just Hunter, he might have a bit more.
I think he gets along with Vince, honestly, though.
Yeah.
Again, hard to know when he's working or shooting.
Right.
Because obviously he's going to pretend to for his heel persona. But I think he was always pretty complimentary of Vince, even when he was working there and stuff. But I do know him and Triple H had a pretty decent relationship, though.
Yeah, I just don't think Vince sees him as like anything, right? Like, I don't think Vince would care how many indie titles you want.
I think the only way would be if Cody would have to sell him to Vince.
Yeah, and then there's that whole weird meeting. Like, but I think that's got to be a shoot thing or a work rather. Like, Cody's saying something that like Cardona had a meeting and then he like messed it up or something like that. He was basically trying to hire.
Oh yeah. I don't really know that story. I've heard. I know what you're talking about, but I don't.
I'm fairly sure it's just a Cody lie, anyways.
Yeah, you can't believe anything the man says.
How many more blocks
let's
we got?
The rest of the B block, though, real quick. Just Great-O-Khan and LP are at the bottom with only 2 points. Very sad because they put on good matches.
Yeah.
Looking at the block again, though, like, yeah, Tongaloa and like Kenta could be below them, but they were never making the final 2 anyway. So I'm not as down on it as I was like in the moment watching, because it doesn't matter as much. And they're putting on good matches and getting good reactions. And they're doing an angle with Okan with it. He lost his British heavyweight title, and apparently he's basically just been like kind of like depressed since he'd never lost in England before, So it's like he's like in a funk, and they've made that like a story on commentary with him. So that's okay. I'm surprised they've had LP losing as much as they.
That's considering they're making him a babyface. I thought they were going to push him a little bit higher.
Yeah, it almost has me worried they don't see what the crowd seems to see. And I'm not even asking for him to be like a main event babyface. I just want him to win like that never openweight title from Finlay.
Yes, please.
Is that too much?
Come on. I don't think so. I think that's the move.
I think it's a good feud. It's a great. They already started it, and they started with an amazing segment. Like it's a good feud to do. So I don't know. We'll see. We just got to see if they move on to it after, because clearly they're not going to be anything in the playoffs.
They could do something like they could like maybe put the Tongans with LP.
Yeah. They actually did run an angle for that. I think it was after the Tongaloa match that LP had. So that's the thing. So like LP does not have any friends still, even though he turned
exactly.
They don't want to accept him after all the shit he's did. But Tongaloa offered him, like respect after the match, and Kevin Kelly speculated maybe the two former, Bullet people, they have a bond. They've both been kicked out of Bullet Club. So I actually do think that that's
going to go down at some point, or at least explored.
But speaking of Finlay, though, we could talk about his block next. Yeah. It's still open as far as no one's like claimed anything, because tied at the top are David Finlay, Evil, and Tama Tonga. Those are your top 3.
Yeah, we can talk.
I will say the outside chance, Eddie Kingston and Shingo both have 4 points. They could still make it. This is the block I think is going to run into like some tiebreak stuff for sure, though.
Probably some cheap stuff.
But to round it out, it's Hanare, Mikey Nichols, and Ishii. They have 2 points. So it's a pretty compact up block, though. 3 at 6, 2 at 4, and 3 at 2.
The 2s are probably done. I would say.
Yeah.
Too many tiebreakers.
And I would say Finlay. I
think Finlay has.
Finlay's going to make the playoffs. I'd be shocked if Finlay does not make the playoffs.
Got,
so really, it's for second place in this block. Are you going to go Evil, Tama Tonga, Eddie Kingston, or Shingo? I'm okay with anyone but Evil. I would really rather it not be Tama.
I don't think it's going to be Kingston at this point. I think he's
no, and I'm okay with that. Like I'd only really want him to make it just to have like higher, like kind of a higher level matches outside of it, because I do think there might be a longer time limit for those playoff matches. They might still be 20, but I'm not sure. But he'll be on the card anyway. They always do undercard stuff, so maybe they'll set up something cool for him for like the next strong show, and that'll be all right.
Yeah, so I don't think he could, but I don't think it's gonna make. Who's the other person at 4? Shingo?
Shingo.
I think Shingo's gonna win. I think so.
That's the best scenario
for me as well.
Just match quality.
Because I think Evil's gonna probably end up blowing it, and he's got the regardless. Finley's got the tiebreaker over him, so I think Finley's gonna finish first regardless, no matter what.
Point.
So yeah, I think it's gonna be Shingo, and who else was at 6? It could be. My only other thing would be Tama, I guess.
Tama. Yeah, Tama makes more sense. Just kind of seems like I wouldn't say the angles necessarily, but just he's pushed more prominently than Shingo right now. So
sadly,
or I would say like featured. Yeah.
They're weird with Shingo. They're weird with Shingo. I don't know. I don't think they see something other people see.
So on to the D block, though. We have alone at the top, Jeff Cobb, who is still undefeated. He's the only undefeated person left, I believe, right? Yeah. Oh, and Sonata, duh. Yeah. And then you got Zack Sabre at 6 points. And then it's, oh my God, I didn't even realize this. There's 4 people tied at 4 points. That is Hiroki Goto, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tetsuya Naito, and Shane Haste, who got that upset win over Naito. That's how he got to his 4 points. And then pretty much already eliminated is Coughlin and Yano. I do believe Coughlin is not mathematically eliminated because he has 2 points, but he has to win out and he needs people to lose. So
it's not happening.
And Yano has not got a win yet. Yano has not got his upset win yet. He's just going to ruin someone's fucking tournament.
Who else is in the block other than Yano?
So Cobb, Sabre, Goto, Tanahashi, Naito, Haste, Coughlin, and Yano is that whole block.
He might ruin Naito's comeback, and it's going to be terrible.
They already had their match. They already
had their match? Okay. Who has he not fought?
Naito did a 6.5 minute. Hold on. Naito did a 6.5 minute entrance for that match.
Oh my God. What the hell,
He
Naito?
kept walking down the ramp and going back and then walking down the ramp again. His music restarted and Yano was going nuts.
Okay, so it was an angle, obviously.
He was freaking. He was just yelling. Bro, it's so funny.
Oh my God. Naito's such a troll.
Then the match went too long once it did finally start, though. I don't know why they didn't just do like 2 minutes. It was probably like 5, but it's too long. But yeah, I'm not feeling Naito anymore. Like, I mean, I picked him at the beginning because you thought with Angle and Sonata and stuff.
I don't think it's happening.
I don't think he's making that comeback. I think it's just gonna be Cobb and Sabre, like, because I just don't see either dropping the matches they would need to not make this anymore, with the rest already having split, a bunch of wins with each other.
Right. I don't know. You're probably right. I'm trying to think who else.
I'm gonna be sad if Zach doesn't make it, and actually, I'm gonna be really sad if Cobb doesn't too. At 8 points, I think he only hasn't like completely confirmed it because so many people are at 4. Like he could theoretically still not make playoffs, but I mean he's pretty much confirmed, I think. Yeah. But yeah, I'll be sad if Zach doesn't make it.
Yeah, it's tough because there's always a crappy thing that happens here. But yeah, I think you're right that that's what it's going to be. I could still see good old Tanahashi, though.
That's a lot of foreigners, though, like just looking.
Yes.
So if the playoffs were to end with my predictions, essentially, you have Zach and Jeff Cobb, and then you have David Finley, potentially Tama Tonga over Shingo, which would be another foreigner if it's Tama. Will Ospreay and Okada, so Ospreay there, and then the A block would be Sonata and almost certainly someone else from Japan. So none there, but that's definitely a lot more foreigners than usual for Gato booking. So we'll see if it ends up actually happening, or he goes back to
because I can see Tanahashi still making it. It's Tanahashi.
Yeah, I would say I think I would predict Naito over Tanahashi making it still. But yeah, at this point, I don't think either will. So I don't know.
I mean, I would love. I think Zach deserves his flowers, man. So I really hope.
I do too. I really want to see Zach win a G1. I don't think this is the year, but man, it'd be awesome.
But making it deep would be nice, especially that like he's really like he's made that title mean something, and it's kind of like a gimmick, trashy title, and he's like really made the most.
Yeah,
He deserves
he's
it.
done really well with it. I love the TV title run so far.
It's been great, and
It actually
like
kind of sucks that he's not able to defend it while the G1's ongoing.
that's true.
Because he's
But
doing 20-minute matches. It's kind of similar. I'm actually shocked. I have not heard Kevin Kelly yet bring up on commentary that doing the 15-minute matches may have like prepared him for the shorter G1 matches.
that would have been. See, that would have.
I don't remember him doing it yet, and I'm like, that was like I thought I had like from the beginning.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a
like,
great
why the
point.
fuck am I thinking like kayfabe wrestling? Thoughts like this.
That's a great point, though. And like Cobb beat Zach, right? So now he kind of has a gripe to get a rematch for the title.
Yeah, and because they had the tie, and then Zach beat him in the rematch earlier this year.
I could see,
but it might just be a Cobb getting his win back kind of thing, and he doesn't go back.
That's true. That's
they do that sometimes too, because it's kind of just a way where they can have champions lose without the whole expected title match thing. That is very expected in most cases. But if you have something like that where you can kind of sell it for another reason, they'll go with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I think that pretty much wraps it up for New Japan.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. I will say before we move on to the NXT pay-per-view tomorrow, or PLE, excuse me, I did not end up watching any of the Stardom shows. Like, I'm not going to watch full shows. I don't have time to do that. But there's a few matches I want to watch. I have to look back at the list now to remember exactly which ones. But I've heard they had some insane matches. Just overall through their, I forget what it's called, but basically their G1 tournament. But I heard day one especially had some insane matches and one bad injury too, with I think Saya Kamatani, but which is the main event. Apparently, according to Meltzer, she was supposed to win the whole thing. So
really?
The whole tournament on the fly.
Man,
that's from Meltzer, yeah. And I do think Meltzer talks directly to
Rossi.
To Rossi, yeah, or he has a contact at least.
Yeah,
because he gets too many random weird Stardom stuff that he says with like the most certainty compared to any other company.
Did you see the injury? It's pretty bad.
No, I did not.
Yeah, it was like
I know what happened. I read about it. I've heard people talk about it. Yeah.
Dislocated elbow is pretty bad. She's going to be out for a long time.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. A couple of months at least. I didn't hear that she was going to win the tournament though. Man, they're having bad luck with that, eh? With people who are supposed to win a title or a tournament getting injured, like that's too bad. That's too bad. But yeah, I've heard it's for Dream Queendom, right? Like I know that's not the name of the tournament, but people get a shot at Dream Queendom, I think, something like that.
No, because that's in like April, or at least it was.
Oh, okay.
No, that was All Star Grand Queendom was in April. So yeah, Dream. I think you might be right. But it is for a title shot for sure.
Yeah, it's like it's unfortunate that they're doing their thing at the same time as the G1 because I think it's like overshadowed.
It's like a Japan thing, though. Honestly, like the N1 is if it's not currently ongoing, it's starting soon for Noah because Kaito couldn't be in it because he's doing the G1. So it's like it's kind of interesting. They all do. It's like just tournament season.
Yeah, I guess
it's like part of the wrestling culture at this point.
Summer tournament season, maybe something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
interesting. Or we can move on to the old WWE.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the Great American Bash first. Make sure we get through all the matches because I was looking at the card earlier. It looks pretty good.
It does actually.
The top matches, especially love it. It's on a Sunday. No conflicting programming with like UFC or Collision. So probably just gonna chill tomorrow and watch it. But we'll start at the top. So you got the NXT champion Carmelo Hayes is defending against Ilya Dragunov. We can do predictions for each match. So I'll let you start first with who you think's gonna win.
I think Dragunov is gonna lose and get called up. That's it.
I think he's gonna lose and not, sadly.
Okay. Interesting. But yeah,
I don't like. He definitely could. It's just, I think the reason they're keeping him in NXT is just because I don't think they think he'll fit. And I feel like he's probably complacent enough that he's cool with it. He seems fine with the schedule and the doing it. And the only, like, it does suck for him if he could get more money or something, and he's not. But if he's fine with what he's making, I guess it's okay too. Uh, the only thing, it does add to NXT at least, where it's not just purely green guys when you have guys like him and like Tyler Bates still there.
Yeah.
So I would say if he doesn't want to be called up, don't do it. Let them be like the veteran gatekeeper kind of thing there, because you need some of those hands. And also because I don't think they're gonna use him well on the main roster, so I'm not that excited. Like,
Okay. So you're not buying this this joining Imperium rumor stuff.
Bro, he even tweeted about it recently. He was like, "Why does everyone keep telling me to join Imperium?" Does anyone that watched realize that wouldn't make any sense?
Thank you. Oh my god, he's like the only person who's saying the same thing I've been saying this whole time. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't think he tweeted it. I think it was like a
retweet?
Fightful headline though, like a quote by him from saying it though. Yeah, and I didn't read the
Either way, like it's like it doesn't make
sense.
sense to me either. He beat Gunther, sorry. He beat him.
Yeah, it was Walter at the time.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, he beat him. Like, why would he be his underling? That made no sense to me whatsoever. Why would he suddenly just like be like cool with that? That doesn't make sense with his character at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I don't think he's gonna win. I think it's too early in the Carmelo run, and they like to do long runs. He could do a shock victory and maybe run it back. But I think I wouldn't be putting money on Dragunov, even though I personally would.
I will say I give it no chance basically of happening.
Okay.
The one reason I could see Dragunov winning though is if Carmelo actually goes in.
I could see that
because they ran when they were in Orlando, so they had a ton of NXT people on the show. They ran a segment with Carmelo and Trick and Bobby Lashley. And Bobby Lashley seems to basically be recruiting people because he had 2 segments now, one the week before and one last week with the Street Profits.
I heard about this. Yes.
They're just like chilling basically and talking about, strategy, essentially. And he mentioned in the segment last night on SmackDown, he was like, yeah, so last week I was talking, with Carmelo and Trick. And so I'm like, that's interesting. They didn't need to really bring that up. It could have just been a one-off segment.
That seems on purpose.
So yeah, so that mention kind of throws me off. Yeah,
it's interesting because
I could definitely see. I think it's too soon. I want to see Carmelo get a longer reign, honestly. But if they got a plan, like it's the opposite of my fear with Ilya, because I don't think they would have a real plan. I think they'd just call him up and then be like, "Oh, fuck,
we do. He's just another guy."
If they got a plan with Melo and Trick, especially if it's keeping them together. I do not want to see them break up. And everyone keeps predicting it every fucking pay-per-view. And I think it'd be the worst thing for Trick in the world if they break up.
I think in the water.
Yeah, so I want them to stay together. And I think they're a main roster act together.
Yeah,
I love Carmelo too, but he's also kind of a guy I don't trust them to handle the main roster, just because of his size. But I think the act with Trick could, at the very least, be a prominent tag team act.
I think so.
They help each other's strengths and weaknesses. So
yeah, and I mean, they could join that little faction and stay in NXT for a little bit, like especially that they're doing a lot of like main.
Yeah, I would love that crossover.
I mean, if they're already bringing main roster guys down to NXT back and forth, like why not have a faction that's in both things? I think that's a cool concept. I would totally do that. That sounds fun. Because I agree with you. Like it would be I agree that Carmelo and Trick on the main roster would absolutely work, no question. That act would absolutely work, but I think he can still use a bit more seasoning, and he can use it to be.
Yeah, no, I definitely. It's Trick especially.
Yes.
Like he would need to be limited in the ring for sure.
Exactly.
Like he's definitely gotten better, but
they'd be a welcome addition to SmackDown, though, for sure. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I think so too. But overall, though, I will say before we move on, I do think that I'll be shocked if that's not the best match on the card. I think there's a few other contenders, but they're going to get the most time. They're the 2 best workers on the card, I think.
Absolutely. Dragunov is
so
incredible.
Like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. Also, I'm kind of curious. Does this say in this little preview? It does not. Do you happen to know where this show is at? Zoom in on the graphic, maybe. No, it does. Oh, it's in Texas. I can tell because they have the Texas flag.
You should have known that.
I think it's in like Austin. Well, it's not. It's not. It's 5 hours away or something. But it's like Austin or San Antonio or something, I think. But that'll be interesting. So crowd should be pretty hot, especially for like we'll get to it later, but like the Roxanne match and
Yeah.
stuff. But speaking of the women's division, the women's championship match is Tiffany Stratton defending against Thea Hale in a rematch, but this time it's a submission match because Thea Hale is now a submission expert thanks to her teaching from Charlie Dempsey and Drew Gulak.
Yeah, she's gonna get crushed.
She learned a Kimura.
Yeah, she's gonna get crushed.
So I do think Tiffany's gonna win. I'm really sure about that. A bunch of people want Thea too, though, just because she's gotten so over with like her character. I just don't think it's gonna happen. But I'm really interested to see what submission Tiffany
I can tell you right now what I think it's gonna be. I think she's gonna win with the figure 8.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Almost
I was thinking she does just like a straight up like Muda lock or something.
Oh man, that'd be sick though. I love a good.
She loves doing like those kinds of like moves, like I would say kind of like the internet favorite moves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she does it. She
does like a.
She does the best moonsault ever. So I mean,
yeah, her setup for the BME is even like Kenny's little rolling fireman's carry thing.
Right. Yeah, she does it like the you can't escape thing before it. Yeah. She's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. The first match I thought was pretty good. Thea's still really young. I think she's 20 now, and she got thrown in pretty blind on TV, like without, I assume, not much training. So I don't think she was signed long enough to have much training. But she's crazy athletic and has a really good character, so she's done really well. It's only like big matches like this I kind of worry there's a chance she could, if there's any exposure to be done, it could happen in this match. But I don't even know if there is any because she just hasn't had too many like really long featured singles matches. So we'll see. It's almost like a sink or swim thing for her because this is a lot bigger than the TV special match.
This is a big match for her.
That was still kind of treated like a big deal. Yeah,
it's a big sport. No,
and Tiffany too. Still, I mean, she's been around probably as long as Thea. Like they pretty much came around at the same time, I think.
Yeah, just pushed more earlier there, but
very success stories, I would say. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely pushed more earlier. And Thea was younger in general too, so. Thea was still in high school when she started. She was on Level Up and still had not graduated high school.
What's her background?
Having Level Up matches. I don't know. I think she did high school track and field. Okay. Obviously, just high school. Yeah, she wasn't in college yet.
Yeah, track and field. Yeah, that's pretty cool though. I mean, she's definitely well liked by that audience.
She's gotten jacked now too. Like you look at her arms. Her arms are huge. Thea, that is. Tiffany is too, obviously, but Thea has gotten jacked. She is putting in her hours.
Training with what's her name? Jack girl, I forget her name. She like the chain and everything. I don't watch NXT that much.
Oh, Ivy Nile.
I'm a big fan of hers, though. I like her a lot. She's cool looking.
Yeah. So our next match on the card, though, probably honestly might be a lot of people's most hyped. It is the NXT North American Championship with Dominic Mysterio defending against Wesley and Mustafa Ali.
So before they added Wesley in this match, I was almost believing that Mustafa Ali was going to win this match. Now, I don't think so.
I can see it.
Now, I think Dom is just going to retain through fuckery and whoopsies.
I think so too. I think they don't want to kill the Dom on NXT experiment, or I guess I should say more broadly, the Judgment Day on NXT experiment. As long as the numbers are still legitimately going up.
Why would they, right?
If they started to plateau a little around this time, yeah, maybe they will. Maybe he doesn't want to work 2 days a week. Really, he's going to work SmackDown too. So, like, they've had him on every show. But yeah, I think it's too early. Like, they're not going to do it at this point. It's too hot. So, yeah, I think he'll win. It's probably some dirty means. Maybe not outright cheating, but just stealing a pin or something.
Yeah, so like I said, do you agree that if it was just a one-on-one that Mustafa had a chance, or did you not give it a chance at all?
Yeah, and because when I thought it was still going to be the one-on-one, I was under the impression that it would be a short-term thing for Dominic on NXT anyway. And now I don't think it will be. I think it'll be a good couple months.
Well, that rating shocked me, I gotta say. Like, I knew that that act is over, but like to pump up NXT's numbers that much, they got something here.
I think the Dominic winning the title segment actually did better itself than the Seth Braun segment. Like overall,
which is
show
crazy.
Was rated, but,
like that's crazy to me. For what I like, obviously, but like it doesn't matter.
I really want to see this Dominic guy.
People love.
But I really do think it's all the Judgment Day too. Dominic is the one taking most of the NXT advertisements, so you got to give him more of that.
And really, it's Dominic and Rhea.
The rest of the Judgment Day.
Like, we have to be honest. It's Dominic and Rhea because like she's there with him every time, right? So it's not
She'll probably be there too. I would
course.
imagine. I'd be kind of surprised if she's not.
People want that act.
And she actually had a good match, dude. Just an aside, this week on
Yeah.
NXT against Lyra Valkyria. I don't know. How you say her name.
Lyra.
That was nice. Yeah. I lost my place in the matches though. You got anything else to add to that triple threat?
No, I mean, like, I think the match is gonna be You know what? I will say this. I think the match will be a lot better than people expected. I think Dom is gonna do some cool stuff. I think it's gonna be funny too.
I think they need to choreograph the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
I have completely had the realization that triple threats and fatal four ways are so much better when the entire match is 100% choreographed.
Yeah, because then you don't get the.
I don't agree with that with singles and tags. I think there needs to be some improvisation there. But the improvisation in those multi-man matches is always the lamest fucking shit. So no, just choreograph art, go spot to spot, and I will be more.
Same concept as the four-way, that AEW four-way that everybody liked, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
NXT is actually making me have this realization too. I think it was over their Show Mania weekend, and then that four-way in AEW happened too, and I was like, this is the same thing. This is all 100% choreographed, and it was amazing.
I think you're right, because if you do it the other way, you always end up with those spots where two people are doing something and the other person's either on the outside, and then they try to do something, but the other people are turned around, so it's super sloppy. Just doesn't work.
Yeah,
it looks bad.
The big downside, I would say though too, is like when you fuck it up though, it's like way more noticeable when you're doing highly pre-planned.
That's always the issue, right?
But hey. Yeah. Don't plan for the fuck ups. Plan that it all goes well, and
that's right. I mean, like, when it goes well, it goes really well. So I think the risk outweighs the.
Yeah.
Let's keep going down the card though.
And then getting more on the undercard here, the tag team titles is Gallus defending against the family of Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo.
Is this finally going to be it?
And that is Mark Coffey and Wolfgang of Gallus, not Joe Coffey. He's the singles guy.
Okay, and is there any stipulations other than that?
No,
regular ass
straight
match?
up tag titles, which is kind of funny with this convoluted, wacky feud they've done. Surprised it's not a jailhouse match or something.
Yeah,
but,
so it's interesting.
Yeah, I do think it'll be a title change still here though.
Me too.
It's kind of funny though. I think I predict that every time Gallus fit. Not that I have anything against them. I like them. It's just it's not been a hot title run. It's felt like a transitional title reign the entire time, and I just keep not getting it right when I think, oh, this was the team they won the titles to lose.
Yeah. So
we'll see.
I agree with you that there's going to be a title change. I think that I haven't watched that much of the show, but from what I followed, to me, logically, like, the family should win this feud.
There's so much more.
Yeah. And I mean, like, the feud, like, he finally came back. Like, why would he come back to just lose it? Like, I think that's
it'd be very deflating.
Yeah, it'd be stupid.
If they lose,
So I do think this is the time to do the change. I haven't really felt that Gallus was going to lose before, just by like the matchups. I don't follow as close as you though, so I don't know who's over or not.
It's like I thought they were going to lose to the Creeds at one point. I thought I think it was mostly the Creeds. I think it was just multiple.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And they never did.
They always got messed over. Yeah, but yeah, I think the family's got to go over, and I hope they do, because I think it's going to make a lot of people happy.
Yeah, and the two more matches on the main card is a Weapons Wild match between Roxanne Perez and Blair Davenport, which Shawn Michaels basically said he really wanted to get Roxanne on the card because she's so popular in Texas and from Texas. I think even that area of Texas. But he didn't need to say that. Like, this is a fucking PLE quality match, obviously.
Well, yeah, and I mean there's still a feud going on, so it's not like it's coming out of nowhere.
Did you see the segment on Tuesday?
I didn't see it.
It was all over.
It was the like some sort of brawl.
Yeah, it was like at a convenience store, and it went on forever. And they actually really didn't do like a lot of like cool convenience store stuff. It was mostly just slamming people into the shelves. But I love the concept still. Like, I'd say like A for effort, C for execution.
I'll say this: I'm always a fan of brawls or fights or segments outside of the venue, somewhere different. In real life, it makes things more.
It looked real too. They showed customers like on the other side of the aisles, and they like had this like. It didn't look like they were plants. It almost looked like they were like.
What's going on here?
Embarrassed, like they knew it was an act. They knew it wasn't a real fight, but it was like they were kind of laughing. But I was like, are these fucking real people? Like, did they just be like, hey, we're gonna film this fight here for a show? Just do your stuff. Like, that's really what it seemed like they did.
Yeah, like that's. I mean, like I said, A for the idea and effort, just because like I'm always down for creative stuff like that and different stuff like that. And I'll bring forth like a point that kind of like SRS brings up on his podcast a few times, like and NXT and Impact as well is really good at this. It's like give women angles that worked already for men, and give it like just a a version that's just with the women, and it works.
And that almost sounds bad when you say it like that, because it sounds like you're saying copy from the men, but the men copy from
That's
the
what I
men.
mean.
Like,
Yeah,
every modern angle we get
a
is
rehash,
copied from
right?
a past angle in most ways. Yeah, it's like we've went through most wrestling angles at this point.
Yeah, so like just gender swap some classic ones, and I think it works really well. Like I know what you mean that it sounds bad when you put it that way, but that's not what I mean at all. Like it's just like in NXT's done it, especially Sean. Like he's done it with his own segments a lot too, with the women, but it works
A little bit too
a
on the
little
nose, I
too on
would
the nose.
say,
But like
but I will. I do think all of them did
it
work.
did work, and like it's just like it makes things interesting, and it's in much like exactly like you said, much like rehashing men's segments for men. It give it it's an easy way to get women on the card and get them a good angle that people care about, because people cared about those old angles.
And I actually have more to add too. When we just a real quick aside, when we get to the pre-show match down at the bottom, we have one more main card match first too. But I have something to add to that too, with like just getting the women involved is what you need to do. But we'll move on to the
Yeah.
next match real quick.
Oh well, we didn't say who. I
I
think Roxy's gonna win.
Oh yeah, I do too, just because it's in Texas. This is more of a toss up to me because I don't think it matters necessarily who
No.
wins
Could be either way.
because I think the feud would keep going. But it's just like with the heel champion, assuming Tiffany retains, it makes more sense to have your baby faces win the non
To build them up.
That's
Yeah.
a booking philosophy thing I usually do. Like, like in my mind, that's the right way. Which means you don't always have to do it because there's no right way.
Oh, I get what you're
But
saying.
that's the classic.
You want
Yeah.
to put over the other next in line baby face in the same event as your heel going over, so that you say, oh well, maybe she can stop her.
And then you have Blair get her heat back, and then if you have a babyface champion come up, then she wins these non-title.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me. Yeah, for sure.
Same thing. Yeah. So last match on the main card though is it's probably one that's going to get a lot of news, but I don't know how it's going to go. It's Gable Steveson making his debut against Baron Corbin. Why the fuck is this book? Honestly,
what's funny is that like they retired Kurt Angle with Baron Corbin. Now they're starting this guy's match with Corbin.
Yes. Oh my god, I never
Is
even
that-
thought
is
about
that the
He's
link?
fighting another gold medalist. He needs to bring that up. He may have mentioned it in his promo, honestly, but I'm just so annoyed because they were doing something good with Corbin.
I know.
The segments were a little cheesy, and when he's talking to himself and whatever. But overall, I liked it, and I thought his promo dialogue in them was amazing. I'm so excited to see what they do with Corbin, and they put him right back into doing what he was doing before, jobbing to the new flavor of the month. Basically, it's what he's been doing for 2 years.
It sucks.
I mean, thankfully, he doesn't have a dumb character while he's doing it. But why?
The whole point was to make it more serious.
I don't know. It makes sense. It makes sense because this is their classic Corbin booking. Like I said. But what was the point of all the stuff making me think he was going to do something new? I'm actually more annoyed by Corbin being in this spot than anything else actually related.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not going to comment on the other guy. But for Corbin, yeah, this sucks. Like I was kind of excited. Like I didn't watch the segments as much, but I was excited to see him go back to a serious gimmick. I thought going back to NXT would be a good way for him to like smash some people and
And I think he still will be serious at least.
But like I don't want him to lose.
It might be a one-off match, and he just loses. Oh well, I didn't expect him to win a lot in NXT anyway. I just wanted to be in good angles for once.
And like this angle just seems out of nowhere for no reason. It's only going to be to put over this new guy, and like
that's all it was, dude. And like I guarantee you, I know how the match is going to go. It's probably going to be all right. He's gonna because I think he's fine for what little I have seen. He's literally just doing suplexes. He was throwing some good suplexes, and I think the match is going to be a short Brock style match where he does 90% suplexes, and the crowd will pop for them as long as he doesn't do anything else. I don't think it can go bad. But I'd be kind of funny if they did just try to go all out and do a bunch of stuff, and it did.
I doubt it goes longer than 5 minutes.
No, and because honestly, so he says he's staying in NXT, but I feel like people are still skeptical that he's actually going to be a full-time guy because he still might do more of the amateur wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't see why he wouldn't go back to try and get a gold medal if he's allegedly as good and as like Meltzer was saying he was doing in like the tournaments like a month or so ago. Unless WWE's paying him that much, actually, which
could be it.
That could be it.
It could be one of those situations like on
but I will,
a sports team.
I will
right?
say, and I almost hate saying this before he even actually has his technically first match, but I think him having his first match on NXT has already got to be viewed as a disappointment because hold on, excuse me.
All right.
WWE didn't want that, you know.
He debuted on the main roster, didn't he? Multiple times.
Yeah, he had with segments, and he was drafted to Raw like 2 drafts ago. Yeah, and never really appeared. So clearly, this was not what they wanted. You know, so even if it is a good match, like,
are people going to care?
I feel like internally, at least some people are already going to be viewing it as a disappointment.
Yeah,
they obviously still want to. We can see that.
Sure,
yeah.
but like, I kind of agree with you. Like,
they're very, very weird.
No, is anybody like? I don't see who this is helping as a pay-per-view match because like beating Corbin doesn't mean shit. First of all, especially not in NXT.
I think they're hoping they can get eyeballs, maybe.
Yeah.
But no one fucking follows amateur wrestling. And the gold medal win was honestly too long ago. At this
it's like the Ronda thing all over again, except like without like the years of pedigree. It's just a one-time thing. So like when Angle debuted, it was very shortly after he won the medal, right?
Actually, Angle was a while too,
okay.
and that's why it didn't work. They tried him. It was like 4 years. They tried him as a babyface. No one gave a fuck. So then he became, the heel, bragging about his gold medal, and
then that worked.
Struck gold.
And then struck gold.
Yeah, because no one gave a fuck, like at all. They did not give a fuck.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Like it's been too long, and like on top of the other stuff there, that like certain people are just going to be like, nope, right away. So that plus the time, I don't think it's going where they want it to be. And maybe you're right that they're trying to just kind of get whatever's money's worth they can get out of him while they got him. Because his brother's much further apart, much further along than he is. Much further along.
The one thing too I'll say about his brother, they could be similar in the ring. I mean, his brother's pretty good, and like who knows, maybe he will be fine. He can at least throw suplexes. Gable can, but Damon can't. Like, I heard someone say this the other day, but they're 100% right. They said it jokingly, but they're not lying. Damon Kemp got every ounce of charisma from those parents.
Yep.
Gable got none of it. His promo was rough.
Oh, he had a promo?
And Damon can cut a promo. Damon can cut a promo. He's good. He's funny. He can be serious. He's got good timing, everything.
I've heard nothing but good things about him.
Negative.
Nothing but good things about that guy.
And yeah, this one was. And I mean, you heard everyone say it too when they brought Gable out during that SummerSlam thing about how much more charismatic the other girl with him, like Tamara, like Mensa Stock, I think's her name, something like that. That who is training currently too. She looked awesome just as far as like a personality and stuff, and Gable just looked like I don't know, just a blank face, wooden as fuck. And his promo was like that on NXT too until Corbin came out. So I don't think it's gonna work out.
I don't. So far,
I think the only thing if they team him with his brother, maybe just have him as a tag team. That might be the ceiling.
Yeah, maybe that's the sauce. Yeah, that could be it. I don't know. I'm not excited.
But, real quick before we go, I'll run down the pre-show match, which I'm actually kind of excited for, even though it's absolutely absurd. So it's Dragon Lee, Nathan Frazier, Ulyssa Leon, and Valentina Feroz versus the team of Meta 4. And that is Oro Mensah, Noam Dar, Lash Legend, and Jakara Jackson.
That is a weird ass GCW stuff right there.
So let me run down the angle real quick for you. Nathan Frazier beat Noam Dar for the Heritage
Cup
title, which Noam Dar hilariously brought. Yeah, the cup. He brought. That was the only NXT UK title not retired. because he never showed up after NXT closed and he was the champion, so they just never acknowledged it where they unified all the others. And he just randomly shows back up with the fucking cup and just starts defending it, which I thought was hilarious that he just did that. And he gets joined up with this group with Lash and Jakara, who are pretty hilarious in promos. I don't. There's nothing to say about the wrestling still. Jakara, I haven't seen enough of. I don't really have an opinion on hers. Lash is still not good, but they're funny in promos, and Oro is too. And Oro can wrestle. I forget his NXT UK name. He had a different one, but he was like tag champion and everything in the UK. He's good. But so they just form this group of just they're so obnoxious. They're just extensions of Noam Dar's like level of obnoxiousness, which I already love. But then he loses the cup, and he goes into like this basically like a deep depression, and he just stops talking. They're like, we can barely make him eat. They start rolling him around in a wheelchair. They're basically Weekend at Bernie because he does not have his cup, and he's lost all of his life force. And they had like cancel multiple weeks of his talk show because he would not talk. He couldn't get him to talk. So then last week they hand him a replica cup, or they got a new one made. It looked like the same thing, but it obviously wasn't the same one because Nathan came out with his. And they hand him it, and his eyes just light up. You see the sparkles in his eyes return.
Oh my God.
And he's like, is this real? Is this my baby? Like, or something? And he jumps up. He's jumping around. Like, I've died. And but the main point I wanted to make on this match, outside of I love the wacky angle they have going, and I will say too, Nathan is also he has good comedic timing. He's been killing me with a few one-liners, and it has not been a bad use of Dragon Lee. I don't think you could argue he could be used better, like potentially in that North American title thing, but he's still wrestling weekly, putting on good matches, and actually showing personality,
Good.
which I don't think is a bad thing. He's had some decent one-liners too in it, since it's all comedy based. But my main point I wanted to get to that I brought up earlier was I heard some people complain that the women were kind of thrown into this match because it would be better if it was just a straight up tag match with the men. I agree, probably would be a better match, but it's pre-show, and it's to the point you made earlier. Just throw them in, like give them things to do. It doesn't always have to be mixed tag stuff. I'd actually prefer it not. But you can get a tag match or some singles matches out of this too with the women. And actually, I do like Faraz and Ulyssa Leon. They were, I think it was Valentina Faraz had a pretty bad. No, it was the other one. It was Ulyssa Leon. She had a bad knee injury and just recently returned. But before that, I was like, they're actually putting on decent matches as a tag team. And Valentina, I thought especially was too in some singles matches I watched. So I mean, give them a little time.
I see nothing wrong with
it. They can't get better if you don't give them the time.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good angle to give that time to. No one's gonna give a fuck.
I think that's a great point, and it's we've had conversation off air about like some issues in AEW, for example, about how they're not really like maximizing their use of women whatsoever. This is a great way to do it. If you're gonna have women involved in a intergender angle, put them in a match on the pay-per-view. Why wouldn't they be involved in the match? If they're part of the angle, they should be part of the match. They shouldn't just be side characters that you can use once in a while. That's lame.
Like when they actually are wrestlers.
Exactly.
First, not managers. Now I will say like maybe Lash could be converted to just a manager because I actually think she's really good at it.
But they're still giving her the chance, right? Like, and I think that means a lot. Like, and it's another thing you brought up.
I will say she's wrestled very little since like her original. It's like probably like 5 or 6 matches that were really bad. She's wrestled very little since then, but I do not think anything's been offensive.
It's just been kind of like
she's had on NXT. She's probably been wrestling a level up, and I don't watch that anymore.
Too much,
but it's been fun. Like I have not. I mean, I definitely won't say they're good, but it's nothing like as bad as it was before. So it's not like a complete loss.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like you kind of said, like it's in the pre-show on top of that. Like this is harmless and it's good for everybody. And like you've brought it up before too. Like you have to have the courage and the wherewithal to actually just give them the chance and just do it. And if you don't do it, then people are never going to care. So I think it's good that they're doing stuff like that. Yeah, it's one of the things I really like about NXT, especially, is that they're not scared to give anybody a chance and angles And if people care, good. If they don't, whatever. But they try it, and I think that that goes a long way. And that's one of the reasons why they're succeeding so much at getting so many female talent over. I think it's one of it's
Mhm.
the proofs of the
Yeah,
pudding.
they if I want someone like Brandon Thurston of like WrestleNomics or someone to do this data one day, because I'm obviously not, but I want to see like a percentage of like just like women's screen time on the various wrestling shows. I guarantee you, spoiler alert, like NXT and Impact are the
Not even
highest,
close.
no question.
Not going to be
But
close.
I want to see which one actually though. Like I think it'd probably be close, and so like some weeks Impact will edge it out, and some weeks NXT. Maybe Impact like overall, if I had to guess, would probably be more. But yeah, I would be actually be curious to see that because I actually think NXT and Impact might be close to 50-50, at
Probably.
least some weeks. And
I think NXT might be even closer because they have a huge roster.
I definitely think more recently. I think for a little bit there, when it was like the height of like Deanna and Jordan, Impact was probably 50.
Yeah, but not so
like,
much.
if not
Right now,
more.
it's very more like 60-40, I'd say something like that. That'd be fair.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying, because NXT, every time I see previews, at least 2 women's matches and 1 women's segment, at least. There's a lot.
Yeah, and it's so funny too because like I still feel like people nitpick the women so much more,
Of
like
course they
on
do.
NXT specifically, like everywhere too. And I'm like, and it's funny when it comes from people that also yell at like the main roster in AEW to book the women better. And I'm like, it's okay to not like the stuff on NXT. I'm not saying you have to like it, but like, why are you analyzing it with a fine tooth comb when you don't do that with the men's, as far as I can see? Like,
Yeah,
when you also allegedly want more on other shows, is it just so you have more things to shit on?
maybe.
Like, what's the
I
logic?
mean, I
Like,
I agree with you 100% on this. It's a weird thing because it's like if you really want women's wrestling to succeed, the only thing you have to do is actually support it. But then every time they actually do that, they
I
don't. They
really do
complain.
not
It's like, what do
like.
you
Yeah,
actually want,
like
though?
I don't care to hear that you thought the women's match was the weakest on the show. Like, I don't give a fuck. You just did you like it or not? If you didn't like it, that's fine. You don't have to. Like, but if you liked it and it was good, then it had its place.
That's right.
It did not bring down the show. Like even if it's worse than all the men, that's not relevant
And I find that's yeah.
because there's plenty.
And
Like,
it's especially true in both Impact and NXT, and especially NXT. And you're 100% right about the criticism. There's a lot of absolute garbage tier promos and matches from the men just as much, but people just kind of just like, oh yeah, whatever, because it's NXT. So it's like I agree with you that there's a little bit of a double standard when it comes to people judging those kinds of matches under a different lens. Because at the end of the day, it's
yeah,
developmental, especially NXT. So it's like, does it really matter if the matches are not the best? I don't think it does.
no, I think people do look at it a little harsher too because it is still on national TV, which I
Yeah,
get
there's
that
the whole
part
TV
too.
thing.
But I don't. Like, I don't at all. Like, especially once 2.0 hit and I started actually enjoying it more after the first couple months where it was like a train wreck. Like, I've just seen it for what it is, and it is a entertaining wrestling show more in a vacuum than others. Even when you do have main
Yeah,
roster guys come in like Dom, but yeah, like, and it's developmental. Like, I'm not expecting. I've watched plenty of what I consider more developmental type shows, like over the years in wrestling. Anyway, I used to love watching the B shows, like Sunday Night Heat and stuff as a
yeah.
kid. Especially like later on in the show's history, it was pretty much all either young guys or over the hill guys that were about to get released anyway, uh, working with the young guys. So like very
Yeah.
similar, and I've always loved those shows.
I don't think I think there's a place for it. I think would you rather have a match that falls apart on NXT, or would you rather have a match that falls apart because you call those people up too early and they do that on the main roster, right? Get all that bad stuff
Yeah,
out of the way on
exactly.
NXT. It just makes perfect sense. And it's not that big of a deal. It's not even that serious of a show, honestly. Let's be honest. It's not that serious.
No, that's the best part is they don't take
Not at
themselves
all.
seriously at
And that's
all.
great. I think that's the
Like
right
it gets
attitude.
a little too cringy for me, but I always compare it to Impact, like
That's what I
with how
say.
campy
Yeah,
it is. This is the two campiest shows
I
of the
agree.
year. I do think Impact does it a bit better, but I honestly think it's because Impact has a lower budget and campy stuff
Yeah, they can't hide as
It
much.
feels better when the
They
budget.
can't hide as much stuff, right? So they kind of lean.
There's a certain charm to low budget
Yes,
campiness
I agree
that
with
high
that. Yeah,
budget campiness
absolutely.
doesn't
That's
have.
what that's my favorite part about Impact is like they managed to like really ride that little line of like campy and charming, but still have some really solid wrestling. But like I mean, like you said, like you're still gonna get some like not so great promos on Impact, just like you are on NXT. Sometimes they bomb, sometimes they try stuff and it doesn't really work, and it is what it is. You see it a bit less in Impact as their pre-tapes, whereas like
I would. I have one more
yeah, go
NXT
for
point
it.
to make before we
Yeah,
wrap up because it's I wouldn't say a complaint, but just a take I've seen a lot about the wacky characters, like especially since 2.0 happened that they brought up, and even you have guys like Carmelo, who I would say is kind of more of a character, or at least he definitely was before. He was a bit of more of a stereotypical gimmick. He worked in a lot more basketball puns and stuff
right,
like
right.
that at first. And they're like, this stuff won't work on the main roster though. And I'm like, that's not true at all. I like the one I heard about recently that made me think about this is Tony D, the Mafia thing. I think it'll work 100%. Not because they're going to do exactly what they do in NXT. That wouldn't work. No, that's too campy. They don't do big filmed, vignettes
No,
like on the main roster like that very often, where they have time to do it in NXT. They're all hanging out with PC and stuff. But he's going to take the character and adjust it to the main roster audience, television style, all that stuff. And it's going to work great, in my opinion. I think that's the case with most of these characters. They're not going to be the exact same
no,
character.
but I mean, I think
Like,
there's a perfect point to be made by saying, let's look at how LA Knight over is, and he's definitely
I
a
would say
super.
him and Grayson Waller
They're working
were the 2
great.
points I was going to bring.
Yeah, I think you're
Mhm.
100% right on this. That like no,
Yeah. And Grayson actually is the exact same character, but to be fair, no one really had those fears for
no,
him.
he
They were
was
like, yeah,
pretty.
this is the main roster guy
He's
from the
his
start.
character is very fleshed out, and it's not like it's not based in like a profession, so it's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right on. You're right. I think they're doing. I think people are wrong if they think those characters won't translate well to the main roster. Look at Seth Rollins; he's super over the top.
I worry more like I talked about with Ilya earlier, the talent not translating.
Yeah, I mean,
like the in-ring workers that don't have as strong of a character, or that have a character that I don't imagine will be used, or especially just guys that are smaller, like Ilya, Carmelo. I worry about them.
perfect example is Johnny Gargano. He's not doing that great, unfortunately.
I don't know. He has not. I've not seen him in probably over.
He's
a
one of
month
the
now,
few
maybe longer.
guys that went over to WWE. I think he might have actually made the wrong choice.
Yeah,
And I don't say that a lot because
and it's almost
I don't say that a
like
lot.
maybe if he was still just in NXT,
Yeah,
we wouldn't be saying
you're right.
that.
He would be okay in NXT.
He's, he kind of did all he could, but once, like the point I made earlier, they kind of need veterans anyway. And I don't mind guys being like NXT lifers because it's not like you can't have developmental with
No,
literally
you
only
can't.
developmental guys either, especially with the TV show. But even before they did, that's never been a thing.
Yeah.
Like if you're working legit matches, they're going to bring in people.
And
even if it's in front of 10 people in the crowd. Like,
and ironically, I mean, like Johnny's best feud since he's come back was when he went down to NXT.
Easily, yeah, no question.
So I think your fears on Ilya are you're probably right. Honestly, it's probably best for him to stay in NXT until he's 100% sure they've got an actual idea for him.
But I think we can wrap up.
I think so. We went a little long today.
Yeah, it's all right. I don't mind doing that when we got like pay-per-view prediction stuff. So we just got Collision tonight, and then NXT tomorrow. It's actually a lighter weekend of wrestling.
I know.
Compared to usual. G1 tomorrow too starts back. They took like 3 days off, but there's G1 tomorrow, and I believe Monday is
2 more days of G1. I think. Yeah, I don't know what the matches are.
Yeah, I think they are like more than halfway through now. Like I want to say they're like a match or two after being halfway through. So yeah, definitely coming up on the home stretch. I think there's one more week of like kind of block, and then they take like a few days off, and then we move on to like the playoff shows. Which I'm not even sure how those are going to be formatted.
Weekends probably from now will be the near the finals.
Yeah, and then next week we have SummerSlam.
Oh my goodness.
We'll probably do a prediction for that early in the day. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely do that. That sounds great.
Saturday.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up here then, and thanks for anybody watching, and have a good weekend.
All right, see you next